What's up, Nova Heads? It's Amber Nova.
This is Chris Lights Out Lytle.
Hi, this is Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Ice Boogie.
It's the real and raw August Artois.
This is Smiling Sam Alvey.
It's Archimedes.
I'm Jack Cartwheel, the real deal, the human highlight reel.
This is Steve Mowry.
I'm Victor Henry.
Boy, Bulletproof Troop. Billy Stark.
It's ECW Original, The Enforcer, C.W. Anderson.
This is Honest John.
Hyper Street. I'm Luis Moreno. It's Mr. Classic, Anthony Noe.
I'm Jason Punet.
The young goats.
It's old Howdy Price here.
When I say what's my name, Snipes.
Richie Slade. My name is Gino Rivera, the Frank Sinatra of the Spanish Mafia.
The incredible one, Anthony Idol.
This is Ken Shamrock.
The Golden Boy, Jordan Clearwater.
Yo, watch and listen.
Championship Online.
This is Alex Mars here. Hi, I'm Richard Modest.
So, please listen to it, otherwise be cursed. Okay, see you later. Love that, Dennis.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're now watching and listening to Championship on the Line podcast. If you're new to this channel, my name is Alex and my co-host's name is Rich. And today is a very, very special episode here today because we have a professional wrestler in the house, but pretty much she does almost everything. She's a pro wrestler, she's an actor, she's a model, she's an improv comedian. I mean, she does it all. And also recently she was on AEW Dark, also killing it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Captain Vicky Dreamboat.
What is up? Hey, thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. Such an honor to have you on the podcast. But, obviously there's so much to talk about, especially with, recently with, AEW Dark. But before we start all that, we'd like to do a quick segment where we do 10 questions to ask about a person. Is that cool to do with you?
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. I'm very competitive. So if it's like trivia, it's gonna be a whole thing, just so you know. But
awesome, we'll start right away. Question number 1: what is your favorite movie of all time?
I don't know why. For some reason, The Princess Bride just popped into my head, even though I haven't seen it in many years, because that was the movie that I watched as a kid, like over and over and over and over again. So we'll go with that because it's rapid fire.
Awesome.
Nice.
Second question: favorite TV show of all time?
Probably The Simpsons, or because it's classic, right? Or Mad About You.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, both of those. Like, how can you not like those? Especially The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite band or music artist?
Regina Spektor, Ben Folds, and lately The Score.
Nice.
Score. I can't pick this one. I'm sorry. I'm like all over the place.
No worries. Next question. Favorite sports team?
The Green Bay Packers.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite video game?
Wait, okay, I do, but you can't judge me. Well, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Can I swear on this podcast or no?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, it's motherfucking Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance on the PlayStation 2, which is like some deep, deep, dark stuff. It's not dark, but it's like that's like a, I don't know, early 2000s game. I haven't gamed for a long time. It's that, or because I'm a fucking loser, World of Warcraft.
Nice.
No, loser.
No, you're good. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite book?
Yeah, I mean the Harry Potter series broadly.
Yeah.
I know what I'm about. Okay, I know what I'm about.
Nice. Do you have a favorite meal?
Yeah, I do. I really so I can't eat dairy, but pancakes are like my favorite food. So I found these like dairy-free pancake mix, and so we'll make them. That's like my favorite cheat meal is just a big freaking stack of these pancakes. And it's not like dairy-free pancakes sounds bad, but they're actually just as delicious as regular pancakes, and they don't hurt my stomach. So pancakes.
Oh, nice.
Pancakes. Works.
And egg whites balance it out,
Yeah.
I'm getting like a breakfast team, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude, I'd eat breakfast all day, every day if I could. I'm obsessed.
Same here. Yeah, I love breakfast. They judge me. My family judges me because I love breakfast so much. I love eggs and everything. But,
Rude.
best. Yeah.
He's the best.
Awesome. Outside of wrestling, do you have a hobby you like to do?
Yeah, actually, it's a hobby and it's career adjacent. I would say that improv comedy is like my hobby in a way, because it's a different kind of outlet. So that I also I like to read and I like to write. I write a lot of short stories and dumb stuff like that. So those would be my hobbies. Yeah, and working out, but I don't know if that counts because I'm just kind of a meathead. So I feel like that's just part of the wrestling thing.
I don't know. No, I thought it keeps the mind busy, like writing and doing stand-up. It's pretty awesome.
1,000,000%.
Do you have a ritual you like to do before every match?
I'm still figuring it out. I'm pretty green, so that's like I'm trying to figure out the best thing to do. I will say at Dark, I had to just kind of take a moment to myself, and I wouldn't say that I like. Well, so a couple of my friends backstage always do a prayer, so I did a prayer with them. But then I kind of had my own little personal like self hype myself up kind of thing, because it's very easy to get in your head or like be self-conscious. So I would say that push-ups, because obviously, and then just like repeating nice mantras to myself, like being confident and capable and all the cliche stuff that we make fun of people for. I totally do that shit all the time.
Nice. Last but not least, if you could have a match with someone who isn't a wrestler, it could be a celebrity, a character from a movie, an athlete, who would it be with?
Xena Warrior Princess.
Nice. Yeah. How would you see that match playing out?
I feel like that bitch can fight, so I don't know. I feel like I'd die. I feel like I'd probably die, but I'm holding strong. Or Lucy from I Love Lucy, just because I think it'd be funny.
Ooh, total opposites.
Yeah, it's two different people. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them would be like a real fight, and the other one would just be us like doing a pun off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah,
that's equally fun. Equally fun.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast. Really excited to have you on. But first, I wanted to talk about real quick, just the beginning side of your career. Like what got you into wrestling? Like who introduced it to you?
Yeah, good question. So 4-ish years ago, is that right? Is that math? 2018. I was dating this guy who I'm no longer dating. But he was like, do you know anything about professional wrestling? And I was like, no, I know Hulk Hogan and The Rock and WWE exists. And so the very first match that I ever watched that he showed me was The Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell. My very first match ever. And I was completely hooked after that. That, for me, that just did it. I was like, okay, well, I like this now. But I didn't actually start wrestling until like very, very, very late 2020. And I wouldn't even say that I was formally trained until 2021 when I went to the Nightmare Factory in October of 2021. And, I'm not fully trained. You're always learning, always training. But my very good friend who's also a wrestler, his name is Pitfall Jones. He's a Pacific Northwest wrestler. And then Dean Cooper, the Ultimate Guy. They are the ones who really got me into it. They started SOS Pro Wrestling in Seattle. Big shout out to them. If y'all haven't watched them on YouTube, you really should, because they're insanely good. But they encouraged me to pursue it further after kind of doing like backyard stuff and doing their web series and like learning kind of the fundamentals, but not really being in it and not making a live debut for a long time. So I would say that culmination of all those things.
Insane watching like Mankind and Undertaker. Like, what made you like fall in love with it? Was like the storytelling? Was it the moves? Like, what got you into wrestling?
I think it was a combination of both. I think it was being able to tell a story physically in that way was really cool to me. And just I'm kind of insane. So the high risk element of it was really cool to me too. I've always thought to myself like, oh, I want to be a stunt woman, but I'm not very coordinated. And so this was like a really good way for me to be like, oh, you mean it'll be my job to stay in shape and become more coordinated and learn to do all this crazy shit. And so I think that seeing them, obviously, like they're some of the masters at storytelling. Mick Foley will do anything to tell a good story and make the crowd happy. And I feel like for me as a wrestler, like the biggest thing to me is really wrestling for the crowd, knowing that what wrestling has done for me and what film and TV and just, in general, like being able to suspend disbelief for just a moment, knowing that I can do that for other people. Big deal. So watching them do that, and that is what inspired me to want to be able to do it too.
Mm-hmm. And also talking about, joining Nightmare Factory, what was like your first day at that school? What was the whole experience like for you walking in for the first time?
Man,
taking, like, your first bumps.
I know it's only been what, six months, but it feels like an eternity. I think it was overwhelming in the best way possible is the only way I can think of to describe it. Like really, truly just insanely exciting. You walk in and there's 4 rings and you're like, what? This is freaking Disneyland. 4 rings. I said it on our podcast last week too. It's like, I'm here. I'm at Wrestling Utopia. And I had bumped before. I had a little bit of experience, but there was so much stuff that I didn't know, and there still is. And so just like broadening my mind and constantly being challenged, constantly being changed. That was very, very cool. And it continues to be.
Mm-hmm. And even during that journey too, going into training, was there any like specific video you would watch on a certain wrestler to kind of get inspiration for your ring style and like character?
I've always done, since I started at Nightmare Factory, I've always done tape study. Whatever the coaches recommend I watch is what I watch. Obviously I've watched a lot of Ricky Steamboat, because there's a very clear connection there with Vicky the Captain and Ricky the Dragon. So I love Ricky Steamboat. I love watching his matches. HBK is probably one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. And so just going back and watching him, because you talk about storytelling, like that man, all he has to do is make one face and just you're set. You have an entire, like, you've emoted everything that you need. So I would say that. It's like broadly too many good things to remember, like too many perfect matches.
And also mentioning too, like, also you do improv, like comedy. How much did that help you into wrestling and even like being in front of camera and doing, like, let's say promos? Like, how much did it help you to do that?
So much. It helped me so much. I was really fortunate the first day that we did promos in the first camp I was in, because I broke my foot in camp 5, and so I had to come back for camp 6. But when we did promos, Coach Cody Rhodes was really complimentary and very helpful, and said, not to toot my own horn, but toot. He was like, have you done this before? And I was like, no, it's the first promo I've ever cut. But I mean, in reality, like, I had done very similar things, just because being on stage, being in theater, all of that, it really is to your benefit. So I would say it's incredibly helpful, especially like being in the ring with your opponent and trying to come up with stuff on the fly. Improv really helps with that.
Mm-hmm. And also mentioning, you said working with Cody, what's been like the best advice that he's been giving you so far in your career?
When I was hurt, I was really, really down, and I was fortunate enough to get a message from him, just kind of asking like how I was doing and how things were going. And he said, don't let your injury cage you. And that was the thing that he had said in person too. And I think that you're going to have setbacks and you're going to have highs and lows. And so I think just knowing that there was somebody as obviously incredibly prolific and successful and wonderful as him that cared enough to take the time to like help a young wrestler like me, and continues to do so, that meant the world. So I would say that was the best.
Mm-hmm. And also, especially with Cody, with so many connections, was there ever a time like you brought a lot of people into the gym to work with you, or any seminars that you attended?
Oh, we had Malachi Black come to the school. That was cool. For one of the camps, that was really awesome. But otherwise, just the coaches, we were under the best possible tutelage all the time. So like having Coach Cody, Coach QT, Coach Luke Sampson, Coach Glacier. I mean, I didn't need to go to any seminars because I had the seminar right there, Yeah,
just naming that list already is like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. And especially too, like after training, like how did it also feel to do like your first match? Like how did that come about? Like who told you like, oh, you're gonna have your first match? Like how did that go?
So I had debuted in July of 2021 here in Seattle at a promotion called 5cc. That was my first live match ever. That was before I went to Nightmare Factory. My second live match was with SOS Pro Wrestling here in Seattle as well. And then I went to Nightmare Factory, and there's a promotion called Georgia Pro Wrestling, or Georgia Premier Wrestling, which is GPW. And my first live match, while I was still training at the Nightmare Factory, was actually against the Renegade Twins. So it was a tag match, but my tag partner never tagged me in, Kat Spencer, who's very, very talented, very wonderful, but also she did me really dirty in that show. So here we are. She never tagged me in. She actually hopped off the apron And then the twins finished me if you watch the match. So that was a great match, but of course not the result I wanted. Didn't get the W, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And also mentioning working with the Renegade twins. What was it like working with them?
I love them. I really do. They're incredible. I have learned so much from them. I can't say enough good things.
Mm-hmm. And then it's crazy going from first match and then now we're here. We're recently just debuted at AEW Dark.
We did, yeah.
Awesome. Again, congratulations to have the opportunity to work at AEW. But how did that come about? Like how what was the beginning steps of going to AEW Dark?
Let me think about this because there's some stuff that I can say and there's some stuff that I can't. So let me be very methodical about this. So I was scheduled to go to Dark before I hurt myself, before I broke my foot. And when I was training to do that is when I got the injury. I was scheduled to go in December, and it came about just I was at the school and the coaches saw what I was doing and were willing to give me that opportunity. And so they brought it up to me, and I said, yeah, of course. But of course, then I was hurt until March of this year. So yeah, I just had earned the opportunity before, and then I had to kind of get back in ring shape and comfortable working again before I got to actually go to the tapings and have a match. So it came about many months ago, but it didn't come to fruition until very recently, this month, a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm. And also you getting to work with, Abadon, was it like, did you found out like days before, or was like the day of, like you're gonna
day of.
Oh, the day of.
I had no idea. And then I found out when I got there. And I was very excited for the match, but she's so scary. Scary. Terrifying. Terrifying woman. You didn't bite me, so at least we're good on that.
And also too, like, was there a time you got to meet like some like a lot of cool people backstage in AEW?
Oh yeah. You meet you see a lot of the signed talent there at the Dark tapings, and everybody is really nice and professional and wonderful. And I was kind of prepared for it because I had seen a lot of them at the factory before. Because many of them train at the Nightmare Factory. QT and Cody are both their coaches. So it was cool to see familiar faces, and it was also cool to meet a lot of new people.
Mm-hmm. And also, obviously, the question is, will there be another match in AEW Dark?
It's a great question, and I wish I could give you a straight answer, but I do think everybody should keep their eyes out. That's what I can say.
Ooh, okay.
Keep your eyes out on Dark, yeah, and keep your eyes out on my YouTube channel too. There's some cool stuff coming up for me.
Oh, nice. Some vlogs maybe, or some day in life.
So I will do vlogs. I actually do exclusive vlogs on my Patreon. So I'll do like live videos and I'll go live there. I'm not incredibly good at vlogging because I just don't have that much patience to look at myself for that long. Or like listen to myself talk. But I will do live videos occasionally. More interestingly, I think, is that I have more matches coming up that I'm going to upload to YouTube, and more matches with SOS, more matches in Atlanta. So just more content coming.
Oh, nice, awesome. And then also, like, what are your thoughts? Always I ask this for every question for every guest, but like, what's been your thoughts about like, especially how social media and how it works, and wrestlers use it for such a platform to pretty much promote themselves? Has it been easy for you to do social media, or has it been kind of a struggle to use all social media platforms?
The only one I'm struggling with right now is TikTok, and it's just because I'm like a bad dancer. So I don't like. There's all these TikTok. I've recorded probably 50 dances that are just unposted. That some of them I'll post on my Patreon because I'm like, here you go, guys. I'm an idiot. But social media comes really naturally to me. I actually run the social media for the company that my fiance owns, the Improv Comedy Club, and for a boat company in Seattle, and for a couple other companies. So that the using social media hasn't been hard. It's just like, it's hard to promote yourself. It's kind of like one of those things of like, hey, everybody, look at me.
Yeah.
It's like not the vibe, like not that part doesn't come naturally to me. I don't want to be like, bah, 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 everything's about me. I'm more interested in like using it for networking purposes, but I've been very fortunate to garner a lot of support. And after the Dark match aired, I think I gained almost 1,000 followers, which was like,
nice.
why do you guys want to follow me? I just post dumb pictures all the time. Thank you, but I'm a loser. You don't want this.
Yeah, because it's like for us, like we try to do everything on social media, and even TikTok is a challenge for us too. And it's also like the most annoying, because it's like, but yeah, wish it could be easy.
It's hard to find like the right clips or whatever to post, because you need those perfect sound bites, right? Like you need the things that you know are going to have a good hook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You could post like 30 clips, and then you get like 5 views each, and then one you get like 10,000.
You're like, what? That was the least interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
And especially, mentioning, earlier, doing improv comedy. What got you into improv?
So I'm actually in an improv comedy club right now. I am at CSZ, Seattle, home of comedy sports in Fremont in Seattle, Washington. My fiance Alex owns this club. Alexi Suplexi owns this club, and we run a club together in Jacksonville. So I met him at one of his competing theaters, which is Jet City Improv in Seattle. We both auditioned for a show called Glimmer, which was basically a long form improv show. This is a long story. I'm sorry. I'll get to the It was a long form improv show that was based off of the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, the Netflix show. So we both got in. He was one of 2 dudes. I was one of 8 women. And we were like, oh, we met on an improv comedy wrestling themed show. That's super cool. But that's about the time that I started, was in 2020, like 2019, 2020. I had taken improv classes kind of before, but I wasn't formally trained until then. And I'm still, it's the same kind of thing. I'm still training, still learning and all that. So I started just because it was like, comedy is in a lot of ways much more challenging than dramatic acting, and I'd done so much dramatic acting. I wanted to kind of branch out. It comes a little more naturally to me, and there's a lot of joy and laughter, and everybody needs to laugh. So that was like the main draw for me, is like, if I can make people do that, that's super fun. I feel skilled and successful.
Nice. And then especially, do you have like a list of like favorite, improv comedians you like to watch, or actors?
I love Wayne Brady. Love him. Love the man.
Nice.
His line just in general was really good. Wild and Out. I don't know if you guys remember that show.
Yeah.
That was really dope. Middle Ditch and Shorts is another one, where they're both very, very talented. It's on Netflix. But aside from that, most of the improv comedians that I admire the most, I'm fortunate enough to actually perform with on a weekly basis, and that's super cool, because they're not like well-known names yet by any means. Which often is how it happens. It's kind of like a lot of wrestlers, there's like these incredibly talented wrestlers out here who just people don't know about because they're not braggarts, or they're just like, they haven't been discovered yet. You know what I mean? So improv, I think, is very similar. It's such a niche market, though, where wrestling is a much broader market. So my favorite people are the people I perform with. It's a lame answer, but it just is.
Nice. And especially with improv, like, what are your goals? Like, what would you like to do in the future when it comes with improv?
I'm happy where I'm at. We run an improv comedy club, so that's good enough for me. Already got our own dealio happening. I mean, it's really his club, but I like to pretend like I run it, pretend like I work there. So I'm happy with that. I'm not trying to take it any farther, just because like it's not the same as stand up. You're not going to get hired as an improv comedian to go on tour by yourself. We get hired for corporate gigs and for road shows. And so I would love to do an improv show that has like a huge audience at some point, just because it's really cool to like make all the magic happen and see what people think. But aside from that, I'm pretty happy where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. And also too, like, what was it like also like going in front of a crowd and doing improv for the first time? Like, what was that whole experience like, from that to even debuting? Is it like kind of the same or a little bit different?
It's much less high risk. I'll say that for sure. It's also like, it's nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking the first few times, but I'm way more comfortable in front of an audience than I am in any other social setting or experience. Like sorry, my hair's wet, so I'm trying to get it properly. Like while we're talking, that's why I'm like, wow, all over the place. I feel like I do better in front of a crowd than I do in front of even like this is a great conversation, and like this amount of people in a conversation is about what I can handle, but I have really bad social anxiety otherwise, unless I'm in front of an audience, and then I feel like I come to life. So it's very comfortable for me.
Oh, nice. And especially, talking about, especially goals of doing an improv, but what are your goals as of now of being a wrestler? Is there, where would you like in the future to sign with, or even people like to work with in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like most indie wrestlers, or many indie wrestlers, I should say, I would love to have a contract at some point. And I'm not picky about where. I will go wherever my coaches tell me is best. And when they think I'm ready to start doing more tryouts and, making those connections, then I'll do it. I just don't think I'm there yet. And I want to be really realistic about my progress because I'm still so new, I love what Impact Wrestling is doing with their women's division. I think it's dope as hell. That would be really cool. WWE is insanely good and super amazing. And some of my favorite female wrestlers are there. So I'd love to work with any of them. That would be incredible. And AEW, like, that's so unique, and so many incredible women there too. So I know that's kind of a cop out, but honestly, like, I'd be happy anywhere. I'd just be thrilled to bits to work with any of the women in the women's division there.
Oh yeah, and especially now too. I feel like women's wrestling is like the highest it's ever been. Especially like if you go back to like the mid 2000s, early 2000s, women's wrestling wasn't where it is as of now.
Sure.
What are your thoughts, especially with every promotion now? Because you've seen promotions even do an all-women pay-per-view event now, which is amazing to see where it's gone to. But what are your thoughts on it, especially where women's wrestling is today?
Yeah, I think it's really coming along. I think that for a long time, women's wrestling and women wrestlers in general were kind of neglected and shoved aside. And like the divas, for example, I'm not trying to talk shit. I just think like as a fan, it was kind of like, oh, like you're not really giving them their fair shake. It's not really like they're getting to have the same opportunities, and they've done just as much work and worked just as hard as the men, but that's not what's selling right now. And I feel like people are starting to realize like, oh, this is basically like a completely different sport, and it's very marketable in its own right. And we should all be doing that. There's just so much there, so I think like it has come a long way, and it probably still has a long way to go, but I don't know anything. This is just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. And especially now, and also I want to also ask you this, but like, what are your thoughts on, especially with, intergender wrestling? Mm-hmm. Are you like a fan of it, or you think it's good for the sport, or you just bad for it?
I think it has its place. I think on the indies, it's really fun. When I do intergender matches, it's important to me to try to make it believable, unless we're like already in like crazy woo woo la la whatever land. In which case, then it's like it's just fun. I think that in the interest of like maintaining the integrity of wrestling as sports entertainment, intergender wrestling probably doesn't have a place right now on like in the bigger promotions, just because people wouldn't necessarily buy it unless it was like, oh, this person who's way bigger than this other person slammed him, but that's not to say that it won't eventually. It's just like, I think it's about being creative and making these matches look as believable as possible. But I'm also, I love it because I like working with the boys, so I'm a little biased.
No, absolutely, yeah. Like it's crazy because you don't really see it as much as you do like in TV. I mean, the only promotion I think of that did intergeneration was Impact, and especially with Tessa, when she wrestled, and I thought it was amazing. Just watching her work and the things she was doing better than the men was amazing to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think there's a time and place for it.
She froze, huh?
Yeah.
Who's frozen? Who froze?
You're back now, yeah.
Oh,
good. You're back now. You're good. Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but just mentioning, especially what you want to do, like especially in the future with promotions, but also like who would you like to face? Is there a list of opponents you like to face in the future?
Man, this is like another lame answer, but I would just be stoked to be with any woman who's on the roster at WWE, any freaking woman on the roster at Impact or AEW. Like they're all so good. I think it would be like there's nobody that I don't want to face, if that makes sense. It would just be super cool to work with any of them. I admire each and every woman on the rosters of all three of those promotions so much, and even in the indies too. Like there's so many women that I want to. It's just like the list is too long to go through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And I mean, like I said, hopefully in the future, you know, we could see some of those matches happen in the future. I would love to see, like, even if Impact or AEW, even WWE, look like in the future would be pretty cool to watch. But also, you know, someone that's watching this and let's say that wants to be a professional wrestler, what advice would you give to someone that wants to be in this business?
Go to a reputable school right away. First thing. Don't spend any time with anybody who claims that they can make you a star, because only you can do that, and it's going to take much longer than you want, and it's going to take much longer than you think. Everything is hard. There's a lot of highs and lows. There's a lot of ups and downs. You have to be prepared for it, but it's 100% worth it. You know, you have to have a thick skin. You have to be tough, and you most importantly have to never lose the fun and the passion for it. Well, that's what I would say, but I don't know anything. I just started. So.
No, it's great advice. Great advice. Awesome. Again, thank you so much again for taking the time to do this podcast. Really excited to have you. Really appreciate taking the time. Just before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to plug in? Any upcoming events or social media for fans to find you?
Yes, I would. Thank you for asking. So if some of your listeners are in Florida, I have a match on May 22nd at Pro Wrestling Action in Sanford, which is outside of Orlando. May 26th through the 29th, I'll be at Stranglehold Championship Wrestling in Atlanta at MomoCon. And then follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I need more Facebook followers. Please come like my page. It's like embarrassing. It's like my mom, like that's it. I'm just kidding. There's a bunch of people on there, but follow me there. You can follow my TikTok, but you're going to be disappointed. And then patreon.com/Vicky Dreamboat if you want some exclusive content.
Cool. Awesome. And again, I'll put everything link down in the description below where you can find all the links to Vicky. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I recommend you follow her because her journey is going to go all the way to the top.
I hope so.
For sure. And again, follow the link down in the description below. And again, thank you so much for doing the podcast. So happy to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on. And again, thank you so much for you guys for watching this episode. We will see you guys next time here at Championship Online Podcast.